Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Randy and today is going to be a murder mystery vlog. Don't worry, this isn't me trying to take care of anything true crime. Instead, I am taking care of fictional true crime. That's right, I am going to be reading The Box in the Woods and I'm going to see, one, if the crime is actually solvable with the information that is given, and two, can I solve it? Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin does a lot of these, and I really like the idea. Unfortunately, I don't have that nice of a murder board. I do actually have one because I'm attempting Mill Wordy. I don't have it just yet. So I have a rinky-dink little one right here that I was actually using for a different video, and oh my gosh, everything is sticking. But yeah, we're gonna go through, read this, see what clues are available, can it be solved, all of that. There will be spoilers throughout, obviously, because I'm gonna be trying to solve the crime in this. So if you don't want spoilers, I do know the book is fairly old, and I say old as in like a few years old, I believe. I think another one has come out since. But if you don't want spoilers, this isn't gonna be the video for you. I will have stuff marked, so if you kind of want to read along and be like, oh, okay, where is everything going? By all means, you can definitely do that. I'll try to leave chapters below, just so, also too, if you're reading and maybe you don't want to be spoiled, but you can watch the video up to a certain point, that's perfectly fine. But, that being said, let's just get into it. Okay, so, spoilers for up to chapter 5. Okay, that's as far as I've gotten. So, in case you haven't gotten that far in, about page 83, that's where my book is. Just a heads up. This is what we're looking at right now. Also, this is the only board that I have available. I have all my victims here. I also have all of my little suspects here. The main thing is, whoever did this, so let's go over the murder victims. And if you notice the numbers, those aren't ages, those were stab wounds. And I did want to pay attention to that because Eric was only stabbed 6 times, Diane was only stabbed 9, I almost said Todd and Cooper. No, Todd and Sabrina were stabbed the most. These two people don't have any connections to each other. And it does seem like Sabrina also fought back. Sabrina has 21 stab wounds, Todd has 16. However, I think all 3 of them but Sabrina did have head injuries. So maybe Sabrina was just like she saw it coming or something and fought back. Whereas the others were kind of just caught off surprise. They were gone from at least 11. I say about 3 because when they found Eric's body, like it was like covered in flies. So that's why I'm saying about 3, because the bodies had to, like, he had to have been dead for several hours. We don't have any more information than that, so I'm kind of guessing around 3 is when all this happened. But they go, like, I think they're all, like, recent graduates. But, like, they, like, sneak out to go do pot and, like, hook up. I think Diane and Todd hook up, because they're dating. There isn't really a connection between Eric and Sabrina that we know of. But everyone does say that Sabrina is the outlier. I'm also probably going to have to flip this entire thing so it can be seen, and that's fine. But Sabrina is the outlier because she's like Little Miss Perfect. Todd Cooper is a Nepo baby because his daddy's the mayor. And then Eric is just a drug dealer, and then Diane is like just like stereotypical 70s kid. Loves like rock and roll and all that shit. Now, let's go over to my suspect list. I don't have too much because we've really just been introduced to everything and given kind of a layout. But at first I was going to say Michael Penhall because that was mentioned by one of the cops in the 70s, but then they were like, he's dead. I would still put him on this list, but it's not there. And I have a reason for that. So, main thing is whoever did this is copying the Woodsman. Everything that the Woodsman did that was given to the public, this person did, but the information that the cops had, they didn't do. They used paint, they used like nylon cord, when the Woodsman used like silk fabric and like chalk. This was information that the police didn't give out, and that's how they're able to prove it's a copycat. Also, all of their clothes has been destroyed. All of it. They cannot test for DNA. No one knows why this happened. So those are like two of the big things that I do want to like just kind of keep in mind. Now let's go into the suspects. I have 4. Two of them were theories that people already had. One was Paul Penhall, who is the brother of Michael, who Todd killed in a hit and run. However, again, because Todd's a Nepo baby, like nothing ever really happened in it, but like everyone's like, oh yeah, Todd did it. And I think Paul was seen near the camp or at the camp by Sean Greenvale, who is Sabrina's ex. Now, the reason I think these two are the most pertinent is because if you look at the stab wounds, oh yeah, it definitely looks like it. It looks like there's more of a personal vendetta with these two. It could be aimed more at Sabrina than Todd, because again, Todd, you know, probably like got a lot of people to hate him because he probably walked around like he was better than everyone else. So like probably a lot of people hated Todd. If like you weren't on Todd's good side, you definitely hated him. That's just my gut feeling. However, Brandy Clark, who was Diane's roommate or bunkmate, there was something weird. Now, first of all, she's the one that found the body. She's the one that found Eric's body. And so like she screams for like ever. And like that's shocked. That's perfectly fine. But when like the head camp counselor and like the nurse come, she says, he's there. I put him back. Now that sounds like some Five Nights at Freddy's shit right there. So that is immediately suspicious to me. What the fuck do you mean I put him back? Again, it could just be shock, but I'm wondering if she had something to do with it. Because again, if Diane went out to go get some pot and to probably hook up with Todd, if you're trying to kill Todd and you know Diane's gone, Brandy could definitely be an accomplice there. And then my other one is Carson Buchwald. He is the CEO that bought the damn place. I'm sorry, but why? It like nothing fits in terms of anything he is doing. There's like no reason to have bought the place. And maybe it's just the fact that he's like a rich CEO that leads me to immediate suspicion. But I'm genuinely just like, I don't trust him. I don't trust him at all. I'm also thinking that this could very well be a like pseudonym, and this could also be Michael. But it very much seems like Michael died, but it could be like a pseudonym for anyone, because he's also like, people from 1975 are coming back. Like, you can question them and things like that. And I'm like, I don't know. He just seems very suspicious to me, but it could just be the fact that he is rich and then does like what a lot of like tech CEOs do to make their like workplaces enjoyable, but like secretly like hell. This is all I have. I don't have a lot more. We've really just only been introduced to our victims. We have a couple of suspects because we do have some theories of what happened. There's not much, but I did want to go over this and give my initial ones. My money is probably on, like, I'm thinking Sean and Paul had some agreement on this, because again, the fact that there is like the copycat aspect, it feels like someone that reads the news needs to have done that. I don't know about these two. I wouldn't say Sean, but I would say Paul maybe. Brandy would have easily been able to just be like, hey, they're going out tonight. Diane's not going to be in the cabin. More than likely Todd will be out. So she's probably working with Paul, but not Sean. And Paul is working with Sean because Sean's going to be the one to do it. That's why there's so many stab wounds to Todd and Sabrina. But again, at the same time, Todd could have easily gotten a bunch of people to hate him because he's a little Nepo bitch baby. I'm going to continue reading. I'm not that far in, but I did want to start with what we have, because I find it really interesting that quote-unquote Little Miss Perfect has the most stab wounds, and we do have her ex-boyfriend on the list. Okay, update for up to chapter 17. So if you haven't read this chapter 17 yet, be warned. Okay, here's my thing. I haven't added too much because I've honestly just been reading in Brett. I did take out Carson. He's just a boring tech bro, okay? However, I've lost my pen. We now have the inclusion, I'm going to put him over here because I don't know where to put him, of Greg Dempsey. for two reasons. One, Patty, who is kind of in the friend group of Eric, Diane, Todd, like all of them. Not so much Sabrina. Also, I'm just gonna add, I don't know if Allison is coping, and I do remember, and I apologize, 1978 was 40 years ago, not 30. I am at the point that I'm like, oof. But we do have a new person, Greg Dempsey, who was constantly always high or drunk or some form of that. Like, one of those. Ends up dying in like a... He was like drunk on a motorcycle and ended up taking a curb. That is the story. However, what it was is during the camp, it was Greg, Sean, and Todd were the lifeguards. So they had like their own bunk. And Paul goes to like hang out with them because Todd is off screwing his girlfriend and getting pot. Paul also says after that he goes to his cabin, like people see him and everything. However, again, our time frame is 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. We do not know, or technically, in theory, 11 p.m. to 7:45 a.m., but assuming it's somewhere around here. My money is 100% on Sean right now. I don't know how Brandy is involved, but she has to be. Because she also hasn't been mentioned at all. The only thing is we know she wasn't out there because, one, her bunkmate Diane was MIA. And two, they also had one girl in their, like, group of kids they had to take care of who constantly had to pee and, like, could not go to the bathroom by herself. But Greg also said at, like, the little potluck, like, memorial service they had that he knows what happened. Again, 1, 2, 3 lifeguards. That is the only thing that is connecting Greg to anything. And whether or not he just died because he was drunk or he was actually killed is not known. But that is where my money is because, again, Sean broke up... Sabrina, I keep reading that as Sophia. Sabrina broke up with Sean because she was like, I'm not being like a domestic housewife. I'm going to Columbia. I'm doing my own thing. I'm not coming back. Whereas Sean very much had that mindset of like, go to college, but then come back home. We haven't heard from Sean yet. And that would make sense why he had so much rage towards Sabrina and why she got stabbed 21 times. And the only thing is she's the only one that doesn't have a head wound, but she also had defensive wounds. So it could have been that he like came at her or something instead of hitting her in the back of the head and knocking her out. However, I forgot to mention this, but apparently Sabrina and Eric might have been a thing. Maybe? And the thing is, if Sean found out that Sabrina was now with Eric, how come Eric only has 6 stab wounds? That's the only thing that doesn't make sense. Because if Sean was doing this also for his friend Paul, and maybe Greg was one of the other people, that would make sense why Sabrina had so many stab wounds. It would make sense why Todd has so many stab wounds. But again, it does not make sense for Eric. Now, I am kind of ignoring Diane because Diane just kind of seems more like a bystander than everything. But I'm not sure. Because for the most part, she fit in. She was very much middle of the road for like everything. The only thing was like she was like very into what we call classic rock now, but like rock at the time. So like Led Zeppelin, Kiss, like very into them. That is my money is Sean and Greg. Questionable of whether he like died just drunk driving or if he was murdered. I'm also gonna check really quickly to see if this is a like standalone in the series of Truly Devious, or if it's this book and then there's another one. Okay, so what it's looking like is this one is going to be a standalone. That's what it's looking like, so we should be able to finish it in this one. So my money is currently on Sean. Sean and Greg. I feel like they're the ones that did it. Brandy is a co-conspirator somehow. I can't figure out. Again, she was the one that found the bodies, and the "I put him back" phrase is a very weird sentence. It's very weird, and it makes no sense in terms of anything. So, and the only thing that I can think about is if she messed with Eric's body. Because she found Eric's body. She didn't find the others. She found Eric's. So maybe, like, I don't know. I am going to keep reading. Again, I'm, like, over halfway done with it. So we should be getting some more answers. That's just where my money is. I don't think Paul did it. And the reason I say that is because I think it'd be too obvious. Brandy might have been the one that gave him the idea to copy the Woodsman. But it could have been Sean, because Sean is very much like straight A student kind of thing. Not to the level of Sabrina, but still up there. He was still well off in terms of his grades and things like that. So he could have came up with it and been like, we're going to do it this way. I can't see Greg being it. But I can see it being one of these two coming up with that idea. Because again, this was a lot of planning. And also, with Todd gone, Sean and Greg are each other's alibis. I'm going to get back to reading. Okay, I'm not that much further past. I do have a point where I think the reveal is going to happen. That's not where I'm at. I still have like 60 pages to go. However, I'm at chapter 21, so if you haven't gotten to that point or you don't want spoilers for up to this point, by all means, you do what you gotta do. That being said, I have a new suspect. That is Mayor Cooper or the sheriff or any sort of, like, cop. The reason I say this, it's been mentioned several times, the police have fucked up so much, okay? First of all, they destroyed the clothes, so we can't get any DNA evidence. Also, when it comes to Michael Penhale, his entire, like, case, basically they were like, they had an eyewitness for it, did nothing about it, didn't keep the bike to figure out the paint that was on it. They got rid of it because Paul, actually, when this stuff came about and was like, oh, okay, like, this can be done, the police got rid of it. Also, just mentioned at the end, Susan Marks, who was the camp counselor in 78, so she was getting, like, all the kids out of there at the end, and she says, I spent 2 full days packing up everything and brought everything those 4 brought to camp. I made sure their parents got every last thing, neat and packed with care. Well, almost every last thing. Anything like cigarettes, drug-related, I put those in separate boxes. The police never bothered to go through their stuff in their cabins. I asked them several times if they wanted to search the bunks, but they had no interest. Maybe 15 years later, the police asked for them. Also, there was another thing that was mentioned. And I'm going to try to find it real quick. Okay, I can't find the exact line, but there is something that when Sheriff Elliot Reynolds and Deputy Don McGurk arrive, they say, what are we going to tell the mayor? And I cannot find that line to save my life. Here we go. We've got, do we call the mayor if Todd's involved? No, we're not getting him involved again. Keep him the hell out of this as long as we can. We'll call the state police and head out now and see if we can find the others. I don't know. That entire thing is sussy, and I'm wondering if it's like, oh, okay, Todd is too much. If we make it look like he was murdered, then we're good to go. However, I feel like the amount of stabbings is the thing that is bothering me. And the thing is I feel like the cops could have easily made it look like it was actually the Woodsman, as opposed to a copycat. So I'm not too sure about that, but the bumbling police force is definitely looking sus. And also, Greg was sent home because of him and Patty's like fooling around during camp. Because Patty's in the nurse's station staying because there's only one cot. So Susan sends Greg home. So technically, we don't have an idea of where Greg is. My money is that because I think Greg was also the drug dealer before Eric was. So, again, still, Brandy has not been mentioned at all, and I feel like the absence of Brandy means she has something to do with it. But the question is what, and it is bugging me. So, unless something else like this comes up and I have more stuff to add, I probably won't come back for another, 60, 70 pages until we get to chapter 28. Because I was just kind of, glancing. Because, a lot of them are, lines that you can kind of tell what's going to happen next. Or, because a lot of these kind of do feel Agatha Christie-esque. And it's, usually you're going to have something. It's well, I have all the answers right here. So I feel like we're going to have it right before we get to, what chapter was it? It's, the end of chapter 27 has, a line. Okay, yeah, I feel like we're going to have something here. I might pop in before that. We'll just see. Oh my god. Wait. Is it Patty's dad that did it? No, I might have been right. Dude, I might have been right. Wait, is she in on it? Wait, why is she involved in it? Wait, was it Sean? Okay, I'm so glad it wasn't Susan. Okay. We are at chapter 28 now. I am sticking with my gut that it's Sean. I don't know, because Sean also now has an alibi because he is keeping Paul's, because at the time Paul was closeted. Keeping that under wraps, it does give him an alibi, because if they try to say, no, it was Sean, I'm gonna go with Sean. I'm not 100% sure, because I feel like that's all wrapped up now. But still, Sean is very iffy about everything. Greg has to do something with it. It's all involving that. It's all involving everything with Michael Penhall. Greg has something to do with that. Greg is also, going off of what Stevie says, Greg is also a part of all of this. Greg knows something, which is why my gut wants to say Sean. But it also could be the person that said something, which was, I think her name was Dana. I'm also still thinking that Brandy has something to do with it because she's mentioned, but then never mentioned again. And that one line still bugs me. Okay. So maybe Dana? I'm still going with Sean, but I'm not sure. Oh, it is so Sean. The fact that Sean is being so clingy. It's Sean. But how does he fit into Michael? Oh, this is really interesting. This is a lot. Okay, so she's been counting her hours for how long she's been working on stuff. So it says, this is the last time I count hours I spent on subjects, because after this, my hours will be mine. I think I was right. Maybe not for the right reasons, but I think I was right. Okay, April 6th, I've decided to do it this weekend. Somewhere neutral, somewhere I can get out of. I'm thinking the Dairy Duchess. April 8th, what a goddamn nightmare. Oh, this is the breakup. Okay. Okay, so this is how Diane and Sabrina become friends, right? Yeah. Okay. Because Diane stands up for her when Sean keeps, pestering her. Oh my god, I think I was right. Okay, so this is how Sabrina gets lopped into everyone. Wait! Maybe I was wrong about Sean. Wait, was Sean the red herring? And Mr. Horn was actually like a German spy. Wait, what? What the fuck? Is it serious? Okay, no, this does add up. This does add up. Damn it, I was wrong. Damn it. But what does this have? If you're saying it's. Oh. So everything with Michael Penhall has been an entire, like, red herring. What is the line with Brandy? Are we really going to, like, bring out of nowhere the man's a Nazi? Okay, so Horn was von Hessen? The real Arnold Horn went to Germany, but it was Otto von Hessen who came back and started a quiet new life in America and tried to keep himself under the radar. Okay, so Rolf was victim number 1. What the fuck is with Brandy then? How did Greg know, though? That's what doesn't make sense. How did Greg know? Wait, and then Patty was the one that ran them off the road and shot at them. Okay, so Patty was doing like a sign saying, hey, Greg left, like Morse code or something like that. So everything about Michael Penhall has been a complete red herring. Again, what the fuck did Brandy Clark have to do with this? Okay, so she put ice so she would slip, and then that ice would melt by the time cops got to it. Okay. I'm done with it now. I was wrong on the killing, and the thing, it works, and it doesn't work. And the reason I say that is, it is, there is a part of me that is like, it is done in the most minute ways of getting Horn in on it. However, my biggest thing is the fact, as like a intelligence officer who was also like good buddies with the mayor and probably people in the police department, you can't tell me that that son of a bitch couldn't have gotten information about the woodsman. You can't tell me that he couldn't have gotten information to be like, oh, okay, this is how it was done, and actually framed him. But it's done in like a, not like, I don't know. That's the thing that bugs me. And still, Brandy Clark is never mentioned again. The girl who found the fucking bodies, who says, I put him back. What the fuck does that mean? Okay. This was a fun, enjoyable book. Don't get me wrong. I still do like the series. And one thing that I do like is that Stevie does also bring about concerns about the concepts of true crime, about whether there is something that, like, the idea of her consuming this stuff, of her trying to solve these murders. And I think because this is a newer one compared to Ellingham, for her, it's kind of opening it up a lot more, because it's like, these people are still alive. It's not like she's just going off of, like, journals and testimonies and other things like that. She's talking to these people. She's encountering them. She's, having these conversations with them. And it's like, do I have the right to reopen these wounds? Even though she's in it to solve, as opposed to Carson, who is really only there to make money. It's fascinating. I will take an L for this. So, I ran out of room on my phone. It's fine. We got plenty of cover. Anyways, what I was saying, everything was there. I think in terms of everything leading to Horn, however, there is the massive red herring of everything with Penhall. I think that it's interesting because in hindsight, in like 2023 or like, around this time, it would make sense for younger people to do this. There is like this fascination with true crime and things like that. However, probably back in 78, there wasn't. Most kids weren't reading the news and finding out this information. It would make sense with Horn. So I think that is actually really fascinating, taking something that we kind of are used to and then being like, oh, okay, we're going to flip it. That works. I will say, everything with Brandy Clark still bugs me. It still bugs me to no end. Why did she say she put him back? That is never explained. She is never mentioned again, and it bugs me. It bugs me so much. all in all, I'm not glad that the first thing in this potential series is me losing, but I will say I think it is fairly well done. Because again, the only thing is the fact that these killings weren't done cleaner. But when you look, these 2 stab wounds make the most sense. You stab Todd Cooper a lot to make it look like he is the one to blame. However, Sabrina Abbott is the main one, so of course, like, all the aggression is there. I think it is really interesting when you look at it that way, because then it makes sense that it's not Sean, because Eric is only stabbed 6 times when you would think that him and Todd would get switched up. But if you look at it in the sense of, like, also covering for Todd, it does. I got, like, halfway right. I did... Look, he was never on my, like, suspect list. But I also did not intend for Nazis to show up. Okay? I don't think anyone goes into this book thinking, okay, where are the Nazis? It's fine. Especially considering it's 78. I'll take the L. It's fine. But that is going to be it for this first episode. I'm actually really excited because I finished it in one day. Like, I finished this in, like, several hours. Like, that's why I didn't intentionally wear my Coliseum shirt to just do this. This is all literally in the same day. I'm actually filming a 24-hour readathon that I'm actually going to need to update because I finished a book finally, which makes me really happy. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you guys want to see more of these I Try to Solve These, let me know. I do kind of want to keep a running tally, and again, I think I was rushing this maybe a little bit, and I don't know if that's why I lost, I don't know, but in all honesty, I probably wouldn't have assumed Nazis were involved. I'm just saying. But if there are any other books, whether they be newer, whether they be older, I do own some Agatha Christie stuff. I might try to read those and solve them just to kind of see, like, can I do it? But let me know what you guys think. Let me know too if you read this and you solved it. If you knew it was Horn, or if you also were like me and thought it was Sean. Let me know in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.